Hello everyone, it's Davey Mooney out here at UNT where I run the jazz guitar program. I'm a Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist, got 2 Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, Into the Labyrinth, Way Back is the new Sunnyside release, and yeah, it's late March here at UNT. We just got through our Gomez week with our guest artists, and it's senior recital season, so I come back in the evening and watch great performances from my students who are trying to graduate, all that good stuff. And yeah, I wanted to talk to you all about something a little different today. I usually take a tune and dissect it in all kinds of different ways. But I had a student come in the other day asking about chord voicings, and it's not really something I've talked about a lot. My books don't really cover it. And I talked about it a little in the comping video, if you go back, but in that instance I was talking more about rhythms and strategies for comping, not so much the voicings themselves. And the thing with me is I picked up my chord voicings along the way from diverse sources. I never had like a chord book or even like a system. I feel like a lot of my students these days have kind of systematic ways to voice chords, like maybe the drop system, which I think is really great, really amazing. You know, Chuck Wayne and Ben Monder, particularly masters at that, and many others. I didn't really do that. I just sort of learned, I think, the basic chord shapes that I say we all learned, but by we all, I mean people studying jazz guitar in the mid-90s, mid to early 90s, and in New Orleans, I guess. But I think in other places too, just your sort of standard chord forms. And then picked up different things along the way from listening to people and watching, particularly like watching Steve Mazikowski, Hank Mackey, and different guitar players in New Orleans play their chords. And so let me show you some of the ones that I play, and then I'll demonstrate some comping using chord voicings. I'm going to do Stella by Starlight again. I know I use that one a lot, but it's good for this because it has like every type of chord that you can encounter in a jazz tune. But before that, I'm going to take a little sip because I got a new espresso machine in the office and been making up these sort of latte cortado type things. And I had to take a few sips during this video. But anyway, just to start with like the basic 7th chord and extensions. So if I see a major 7, say I see C major 7, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with this chord right here, you know, that we probably have learned. We have root 5th, major 7. 3rd, although a lot of the time, and with all these chords, I'll take chord shapes that are pretty standard and I'll just play parts of them. So in this case, I don't always play the 5th. Then again, sometimes I'll play this. I might do this. Any kind of like melodic variation on that. And sometimes this is a nice shape to like, instead of doing the 5th, and remember I have a 7-string guitar, so you kind of have to ignore that low note, but instead of having the 5th, if you finger it like this, you kind of have this little mess around note. Or maybe I'll do this. So right there, that's a bunch of different ways to play the chord using that same initial shape. And I think overall, I like to kind of voice lead, depending on what chord is coming next, you know. Not to get too much into that. I don't see anything wrong with this one, you know, C major 7, also be an A minor 9, or this one. It's kind of Wes Montgomery type voicing. You got G, D, E, B, and then, you know, any kind of variation on that. So I have all that sort of melodic motion in there. Nothing wrong with this one. C major 9, or this, you get like a 2 sound, E, C, D, with the 5th on top, maybe make it a sharp 11, 6, 9, so I have all that just in that little chunk of the neck. So there's that voicing, sort of a C6 with the 5th, and I could also put the sharp 11 on top. Sometimes I'll do this, you know, the open one. maybe more like that, a C2. But you know, in the key of C, those notes are open, but this would be sort of root position, major 7 chord. But I might go so that I have the 2. So that's some voicings right there, right? So up here, nothing wrong with this bad boy. Again, I might just play a couple notes of it. I might go put the 9 on top. Here's a voice, and I never used to play this when I was younger. I thought this was kind of ugly, like having that interval of a, what is that, a flat 9, like B to C. But I kind of like that now. I might do that. C6, 9, you have all this stuff here. C kind of 6. Again, that voicing again, that shape. So right there, that's a lot to play over C major 7, right? Here I got C major 9, I guess that's C major 7, C major 6. I do this one a lot too. It's sort of, this is kind of like a João Gilberto bossa nova chord, you know. So I have, this is E, remember I got 7 strings, so that's the E note. So it's a C major 7, but with the 3rd in the bass, kind of first inversion. And even this, you know, just the C major triad. There's this too, like C6, C2, I call this like C2 over E. So that's my Steely-Dan chord. This one. So a lot of variations, and again, every little combination of little piece of that voicing when I'm comping, you know, to kind of create voice leading. Little 6th and 7ths. A la Schofield and Frizzell and those cats. And then, you know, up here you got. So that's some of the ways I might voice, you know, C major 7, C major 7 sharp 11. And, you know, I realized I built more of these chords by just kind of playing around with the shape that I already knew. You know, that's kind of where a lot of this is coming from. Major 7 sharp 5. Sharp the 5th. There's that crazy this voicing, but then put the sharp 5 on it. You know, just kind of like moving around. Like here's major 7 sharp 11. Maybe I want a 6 in the bottom. And you know, over time you sort of develop a personal relationship with all these voicings and all these sounds. And I use them to kind of either to voice lead, have little counter melodies, little inner melodies, or to just kind of evoke some particular sound. Like to me, you know, that's one thing, that's something else. I mean, literally, of course it is, but it says something different to me, even though you could use both with the same chord symbol. So, cheers everybody. So then, you know, minor 7, let's see, nothing wrong with this bad boy right here. Again, I'll often do this, so I can kind of mess around on that 3rd string, get some movement. Quartal. I'm going to talk about quartal voicings later, but voiced in perfect 4ths, you know. You can put the 6 on top, bring the 5th back if you want. Here's another 6-9, C minor 6-9. I also like, one of my favorite voicings is like C minor 6-9 with the 5th in the bass. I don't know, I love that chord. That sound. And you could put the 11 on top. You just play minor 9. Put the 5th on top if you want. I guess in this key you could kind of, this kind of gets into magic chords I'll talk about later, but I always also look for the opportunity to see if I can put an open string in there. Although these voicings take up a lot of like sonic space, a lot of bandwidth, so you gotta save that for a special occasion. I'm playing like C minor 7 and playing the open D, so you get this like rub. Let's see. Up here, I like this chord a lot. Actually, I like this chord. It's the Walking on the Moon chord. Andy Summers, minor 11. Up here, I like this chord a lot. I like putting the 5th on top. You know, you don't always have to have the root, but there's nothing wrong with having the root in the chord. Put the root up here. I like this one a lot too. So that's like a minor 11, and I put the 6 on top too, so you get that kind of rub in there. This is nice too. Same thing, we put the 9 on top, and then you're probably not going to be able to get the root unless you know, with your finger or with your nose or something. I used to do that a lot. Anyway, I don't want to scare any small children watching this. You know, and I'm probably, as you can see, I'm kind of systematic in that I know a bunch, but a lot of times I'm just kind of moving the notes around to see what I can come up with in terms of like melodic movement within the chords or voice leading. But the basic shape, I mean, you know, C minor 7. Everybody knows this. C minor 6. Of course, you can get minor major 7s in here. You can get minor major 7 with the 11 on top. Minor major 7. Yeah, I'm saying that right. Here's another one in here. I forgot. This is a cool voicing for C minor, as well as like, I mean, there could be a lot of things. It could be E flat major, it could be A flat major, depending on what note is in the bass. That's a good one. Where were we here? Put the 6 in there. It's minor 7. This is the same as that, really. Minor 6, I think of that as like a Wes kind of voicing. Minor 11, and any combination. I like this one. This is actually something I didn't do this for major 7, but so this could be E flat major 7, E flat 2, but if you put a C in the bass, it's a C minor. Nice voicing for C minor 9. I mean, if you put F in the bass, it could be like a sus, F sus. That's a good one. Let's see. That kind of takes us back to the beginning. And you know, sometimes I'll do different inversions of those. So I'll just, if I like I'll put the 3rd in the bass. You know, if I like this chord, well, I said that below here, right? C minor 6/9 with the 5th in the bass. And you know, I've just come to these over the years from just exploring, like I said, taking the initial chord shapes I learned and moving notes around. So what else we got? Minor 7 flat 5. But first, let's everybody take a little sip. Whatever you're sipping on, you know, I don't judge. So minor 7 flat 5, you know, this bad boy, nothing wrong with this one. I like this one. That's a good voicing, and often I'll just move up to putting the 3rd in the bass, or I'm sorry, the 5th in the bass. This is, I've got the major 7, the major 9 on top of it. Just moving notes around within the scale, the Locrian scale or the Locrian sharp 2, whatever you call that scale. Up here, you know, kind of the same thing, just I could play a minor 11 and it's sort of neutral, right? I want to put in the flat 5, or I don't have to. This one, and that's kind of a big one, takes up a lot of space sonically. Right? Same as C minor 7 flat 5, upper extension. I could do that. For some reason I want to put E flat in the bass. Yeah. Oops. This voicing, but with the root on top. Dominant 7, you know, I really don't like this voicing. I don't know what happened to me. So, I don't mind these 3. Just the 3rd and the 7 and the root. I think it's cool for a dominant, but I hate the 5th in there. This one sounds good, y'all. The same one, like an E minor 7 flat 5, is a C7 with the 3rd in the bass. This thing. These days I play this a lot too. It's kind of like a C7 that also has the perfect 4th. Another one that used to kind of bug me when I was younger. Like, oh, you can't have that in there. You can't have both of them. But I like that sound and I do it. You know this? In this key, this is actually the same one. So there starts to be some overlap because a lot of these voicings work in various situations, right? Like, so this could be, that could be a G minor 11. It's also kind of a C7 sus-ish voicing. This is a good one. C9, put the A on top. You know, 13 sounds good, y'all. Sometimes I'll do the 13, I'll put the root on top. Here's this again, just in a different set of strings. Again, I'm not crazy about this chord. Maybe if you're playing like some funk, like some Jane's Addiction, some Chili Peppers, some Prince, but I like this though for the jazz thing. Again, it's that voicing up a higher octave. Let's see, what do I play in here? I don't know, I guess, you know, nothing wrong with that. I like this more than this for some reason. And sometimes I'll put the fifth in the bass. And again, a lot of this is just me moving notes around from the shape that, you know, if you want, put a sharp 11. Over the years, my fingers have found ways to get smoothly from one of these chords to the next. That's just putting the sharp 11 instead of the perfect fourth there. And then, you know, diminished chords, well, I mean, there's many more alterations you can do of C7, right? All the flat 5, sharp 5, flat 9, sharp 9 variations. There's like flat 9, flat 5, sharp 9, sharp 5. Mix and match those together. This is a Mazikowski one. So you got sharp 9 and 13. Up here, Barney Kessel plays that a lot. 13 flat 9, also this 13 flat 9, more like kind of a Herbie Hancock sound. And with those sort of diminished sounding things, you can move them in minor thirds. So many options, y'all. This is a good one. Sometimes I'll do this, I'll put like a G flat triad over C. First inverted, so if you have it for a C7 altered situation, it's really like second inversion of a G flat triad with a C in the bass. And I can put the C on top and go from C7 sus to that chord, resolve it to some kind of F major or minor. That's really like a voice leading thing, right? Let's see, and you know, diminished sounds, if I have C diminished, I mean, a lot of the times I'm relating the diminished to a dominant chord because diminished have dominant functions. Before the diminished, I don't want my coffee to get cold. It's really kind of changed the game for me this semester, y'all. All right, I got a lesson coming in 20 minutes. Let's get through this. So, you know, C diminished again. I'm not crazy about this voicing, but I like the partial version of it. Of course, you can move that in minor thirds. And you know, in this instance, like I would use like this diminished shape related to like a C7, you know. Let's see, and a few sort of system, you know, I don't have the systematic thing like drop. I haven't really done the drop system in any meaningful way, going through different chord voicings, but I remember going through like Quartal voicings, like on the top, really on different string sets, usually 4 strings at a time or 3 strings at a time, where you're just like harmonizing the major scale in fourths. So if I had C major, or let's say I have C Dorian, you know, I could play the B flat major scale harmonized in fourths on those middle strings right there, or 4 strings. So you get a lot of voicings like that. You kind of coy tiner. forth chromatically. And some voicings that way. But the shapes are like, when I had the note on this higher string. And that took me a while. I remember working that out so I could memorize the pattern of that. And of course you can do that with other scales as well. That's the major scale. And you kind of need to know, it's one of those things too where you learn, it's kind of like learning your scales, and then you realize that, okay, if I know C major right here, that's also Dorian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, you know, F Lydian, G mixolydian, etc. If you know your Quartal voicings, you know that, okay, well that's, you know, C, the Dorian ones in C are also going to be, that's F mixolydian, right? And so forth. Some other ones, you know, I talked a little bit about chords that are kind of multi-purpose. So again, like if I play this, it's C minor 11, right? But if the bass plays A flat, it's A flat major 7. You know, if the bass plays an F, it's a F sus. Bass plays an E flat, might not be your favorite E flat voicing, but it's an E flat major. And there's a lot of chords that work like that. Particularly ones that I use a lot are like these two shapes here. Like, so this is basically, you know, it looks like an E minor 7 flat 5, right? But the bass plays a C. I'll use that a lot as a C7. I'll use it as a, if the bass plays an F sharp, it's an F sharp altered, right? You got the third, sharp 5, flat 9. Let's see what else. If the bass plays a G, it's a G6, minor 6, sorry. It's very useful, like when you're playing a blues, and obviously it's an E minor 7 flat 5. It's a lot of different voicings. It's kind of a B flat major 7 sharp 11 if the bass plays B flat. And then this thing, so this is this shape on this set of strings. It's an F7, an F9 13. It's a C minor 6. It's an E flat major 7 sharp 11. It's a lot of things. It's an A minor 7 flat 5. It's a B7 altered. And so I take, like if I'm playing a blues, just using these shapes. I'm using this. I guess I also threw in this one. That F7. If I lower that note, I get a kind of F7 flat 9. But I can play using those shapes on those middle 4 strings to get a lot of cool stuff. And then talking a little bit, I'm looking at my watch because I have a student coming. So these videos are very live, y'all. I have to like sneak in some time. So yeah, and then sometimes if I really like the sound of a particular voice, and I remember going through like, or an interval, this is maybe my version of the drop system, but if I like the sound of a voicing, sometimes I'll take it through different scales, like ascending the neck like this. So like I've mentioned this chord, you know, it's a really nice chord, like it could be an E flat major 7. So say if it's an E flat major 7, I could take this interval structure, which is 5th, 2nd, 5th, right? That's a 5th, that's a 2nd, that's a 5th, and take it through, say, okay, what if I kept going through E flat major? And some of those voicings we've already looked at, but that's kind of a more systematic way. Or what about this? I like this chord. So here you have a 2nd, 4th, 3rd. What if I took it through C major? Some of them get a little gnarly with your fingering. And you can hurt yourself and give yourself a hernia trying to do it. And some of them are not practical, but you come up with some cool sounds. You know, sometimes like I'll do that sometimes. So that's that same structure. Like this could be a G7. Put that 2nd in there. That's a cool sound. Yeah, you kind of just mess around with it over the years is what I did, and found certain ones that I like the sound of. And then let's see, maybe one other thing. What I like to call sort of magic chords, chords where you get the open string in there. So one that I really love is this chord right here. I heard Jim Hall do this on one of the Bill Evans Jim Hall records. I forget which one, but basically, if you had an E flat 6/9, leave those middle two strings open, because in E flat you have D natural and G natural, right? So, which is the major 7 and major third. So again, that's a good ending chord, because it takes up so much space. But then again, you know, I'm actually putting B flat in the bass too, but I could, there were a C in the bass, that's a C minor 9, you know, that you can use that same theory that enables you to see the sort of multi-purpose of a lot of the chord voicings. Here's one I use a lot. So like an A flat, almost like a Hendrix voicing. But if you leave the G open in this key, you get kind of a cool sound of just an A flat major 7, but then F minor 9, B flat 7 sus. Yeah, again, kind of multi-purpose chord. Yeah, that's a cool one. Here's a 7-string one that I like to use sometimes. Again, really gnarly. It's kind of like it's like a C sus with the flat 9 too. I don't even know how it functions. I just kind of use it as like a magical C7 chord, and you can do harmonics. That sounds cool. So anyway, oops, got another pick. So before I run out of time here, I'm just gonna play comp a little bit on Stella by Starlight.
Battery medium. Connected to iPhone.
Thank you. And maybe go through some of these chord voicings and do the voice leading thing that I like to do that I was talking about. And, you know, hopefully not overthink it, because sometimes I do these demonstrations and I'm thinking so much about what I'm trying to demonstrate that sometimes I lose the musicality. But I'll give it a go. I'll do like, give me like two choruses. Let's do 3, and then we'll call it a day. That I'm playing now. Quartal.